SIEM's essentially a log collection and a way to look at all that data all at once to correlate and make decisions off of the information that's available to you. Anybody that's had to do research or run any type of a investigation knows that log data is critical in order to identify what's happening within an organization. But log data is much more than that. You can determine and detect trends and analysis within the computer environment as well, which is valuable to not just cybersecurity, but to system administrators as a whole. If you're running a help desk, you can identify and see somebody who had their account locked before they can pick up their phone and call you and tell you. So there's some value adds to that in just a simplistic scenario. And then when we add the service to it, we're doing the hard part of we've built the system. All we have to do is enroll your customers into it at that point. So that's, we've got all the alerts built in, the threat feeds, everything else is built into the actual platform itself, to where all you have to do is look at it. So the logs, every computer creates a log, not just computers, but your network devices. Even security alarm systems as well can be enrolled into this with advanced correlation. For example, if you have a badge or a swipe to entry that's isolated to a user, or they have an individual key card, we can collect and analyze that log coming in and then correlate it to an actual login to one of your computers. If those logs don't match, or there's some time delay that's not the same, they can create an alert to show you that there's potential anomaly going on. But the key takeaway on this slide here is that when you're looking at it with the naked eye, it's just way too much information to look at, to analyze. Finding that needle in the haystack of relevant information is challenging. So how do we do it? Well, our platform uses an agent-based collection on your Windows platforms and your iOS, Mac OS type devices. Your syslog, your network devices, whether your Cisco ASA, your Palos, or your Sonic Walls, you forward the syslog feed straight to us, or you can feed NetFlow data to us as well that we can read and parse and inject in here. Our agents are encrypted, send the data over TLS, and then obviously the information is converted into a specific dashboard that's of value to you. Each dashboard or each organizational bucket is based off of the roles and based off of what you want to see. If you've got 3 or 4 different, say help desk levels that you want different permissions and views within the platform, that's easily configurable by us. Even if you want your end customer to have a read-only dashboard, that's equally as possible in this platform. I'm going to skip over this phase here and then go on to the threat detection at a high level. This kind of graphically displays, the different sources on how it works. Starting at the bottom, these are the log generating type devices. Your firewall, your intrusion protection detection systems, your servers, even cloud-based, not just physical, but your cloud, everything, and then your endpoints. Nice feature of this is that it's endpoint agnostic, and with the agents, if you have a mobile workforce with laptops, as soon as that laptop connects to an internet connection, it's going to start pushing all those logs up into the SIEM itself. From there, you can see how that data flows up into the SIEM platform, or SIEM as a service platform. From there, all that data starts becoming correlated with all the different threat detection and the alerts and the rules. We're pulling our threat feeds from multiple different places, both paid and not paid sources. And we also take a lot of our forensic lab information as well, based off of current events, and create customized alerts if those pop in or not. This is just an example of some of the threat feeds that we pull in order to correlate the information. And from there, I'm going to switch over, and we're going to go straight into a live demo of the actual platform itself. So just one moment while I switch screens. All right, so the back-end platform that we're using on this is an enterprise version of Graylog. We have this built within AWS, which allows us to have a expanding size depending on the demand and the requirement. It's infinitely scalable with the way we have it built out in an elastic infrastructure. So it's a relatively on demand. So you could send us, 100 logs a second or 10,000 logs per second. Our backend is going to scale and to that instantly. With those agents, as they're coming in, each organization is going to be configured into its own data stream, so we know exactly whose data is coming into the platform at once. And from there, we're going to create these custom dashboards for you. I'm not going to bore you with the actual back end, how we're configuring it for your views, but these are just some of the sample dashboard views of what you would see and how you would manage it. For example, right here, let's say you've got all of your customers grouped into one, and you want to see, holistically Active Directory events in the last 2 hours. Just on a simplistic view, you can identify your priority 1, priority 2, and then all of your warnings and errors based off of our configurations. And if there was a priority 1 alert, you could simply hit the play button, identify it, see what it is. And equally, when a priority 1 would come through, it would send email notifications or text message notifications that an alert has occurred, giving you that near real-time visibility of a client computer or workstation server that's having issues. You'll also get, warnings and errors over time. If there's any trends and analysis going on. If a domain controller drops, don't wait for a customer to call you. You'll know that it's not working through this platform. Login failures, another one. You can get trends and analysis, those resetting those passwords. Some of the other ones right here, I like to go into the forensic dashboard itself. If one of your customers does have an incident or gets breached, we have the capability to provide a forensic response and a forensic service and investigation based off of all the log data that we've been collecting from them. With that, it really expedites the time to respond to your investigation since all that data is already collected. You can do almost near instant analysis on the information. What we're looking at here is, on a net flow, if a bad guy's in there and they are exfiltrating data, we can see visually any large spikes that are happening in the traffic. If we have volume, source IP addresses, this is the amount of data that's coming in from different sensors. If we have one, router firewall that's creating a lot more log data than others, it'll show up. Your destination ports, if there's an anomalous port that pops up, we can see that and respond to that and send you an alert. Your destination addresses, where are your customers going? This one right here is, a lot of times many people don't think about it, but let's look at what's happening after hours on your customer networks. What are those computers doing that are left on? We're going to check those outbound connections. Are they doing more than just patching? Last 5 days trends, what's happening? So just real high level overview of exactly what's going on inside of the network from that security point of view. From a firewall, if you have a unified threat management device at your customer location, it's doing lots of good stuff, but who's actually watching and monitoring that to ensure those alerts are being responded to? If you're like most organizations, it's just you're filtering out a lot of noise. It's hard to manage, hard to identify. But those emergency alerts, priority 1, priority 2, again, those give you a quick dashboard that you can put on a big screen and just continuously watch and monitor until that 0 goes to a 1 or a 2. Your established VPN connections, that's really good to know for normalizing data and information. Failed VPNs, is somebody trying to hack into the organization? Failed authentications. Threat feeds, are you getting any hits off of those right now? And all this, that's the hard part about a SIEM. I mean, anybody can go out and buy a SIEM, but not anybody has the time to install it and tune it to get it to run smoothly. So that's really where the value add is with this. And then the management always loves to see graphics. They love to see, a map with the little dots that are growing all over the place of where their computers are talking. The maps we provide are geographically with a density of the amount of data that's coming through on that. And then we have a compliance dashboard as well. Our use case a lot of times is with the defense contractors, and they have to comply with that acquisition clause 800-171. And we've got this dashboard aligned directly to the specific security controls that a SIEM tool can monitor for you and provide that continuous monitoring within that. A lot of these are just proof that you are doing it, that you are meeting that compliance requirement. And it covers quite a bit of different requirements within the compliance framework as well. I'm just kind of skimming through all of those, audit process failures, non-essential protocols. When you're looking at, multiple different entities, each of these we can drill down into, and we can look at who the customers are. So I see a question that came in. It's I'm going to read: Do off-network devices need to be on a VPN to send logs, or does the agent go over standard internet connections? It's a two-part question. I'll answer the second part next. Yes, everything's got to be on standard internet to be able to push the data to us. We got to have some type of data route in order to receive it. Our infrastructure is inside of standard AWS. We're sitting in standard AWS because we are not receiving any controlled unclassified information. There's, to my knowledge from the auditors on staff here, none of the information we receive in this is considered CUI. So we're not required to have that AWS Gov to provide this service to the defense industry. So far and large, that's really the capability at a very high level. And if there's any further questions or further information that would be like to be had, or you'd like a one-on-one session or have more pointed questions that you don't want to ask through the group, feel free to reach out to any of us through the marketing team, through the business development team, and they'll filter and ensure that your questions get routed to the right staff and the right personnel.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. That's awesome. This is Rob again. So one of the differences between this and your standard SIEM, and again, anyone can go in and build the alerts, but it's kind of a pain in the butt, is we have over 50 some odd, I think 57 specific alerts tied to 800-171 controls, as you can see. Derek showed you earlier, and the reason for that is, as an auditor, you're going to have different, especially as CMMC comes out. Everyone's pretty familiar with the new cybersecurity maturity model certification coming out, which is going to be a go no-go criteria for all future defense contractors, right? So depending on how much in the weeds a CMMC audit gets into, CMMC level 3 is most likely going to be the same standard as DFARS 7012. So it's going to be the 800-171 controls. And depending on how deeply they get into the auditors, they get into the weeds, we wanted to actually provide a tool that could show quantifiably how each of those specific controls is addressed, and in this case, using a automated SIEM type tool. So that's 14 of the controls are directly addressed. You add on another 4 dozen, and this could cover easily around 60% or so of your CMMC level 3 requirements. So the whole point is to make it kind of convenient. We went through the hassle of building all the alerts ahead of time. So it's really, again, as I mentioned at the very beginning, it's a SIEM tool, very compliance-based, niche-specific to a compliance criteria, and in this case, it's going to be one that a few 100,000 defense contractors have to meet in the next 13 months. So for that very reason, we decided to offer it out to the public to see if you guys maybe had clients who are nervous about seeing NMC coming up, or that this could be relatable to, and we'd be happy to have a discussion with you afterwards. So with that, and you guys are free to give us a call or contact us afterwards, and we'll be happy to carry on the discussion or get into more details. And if there are no other questions, we are done. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon.